Gents, who Sky because minister?
Angazi yena yonke lento le ngoba at the end of the day he needs to apologize.
Hayibo.
Apologize.
Isikhathi sishayile phela.
Malume wena ke umshana.
Wemshana. Mshana.
Oh, there he is.
Hey wena.
How Batung?
Traffic esegoli.
So do we start with the apology or sicala nge-gift?
Apology for?
Remember, I did tell you.
He's pretending like
I did say to you, good, you'll come back here, face the nation, do the state of your address and apologize because it's Khalil fan.
Azikushayile.
I Khalil.
Azikunethile impande
give humility
imanxeba
fits.
But before we continue,
Are you going to give it?
mina ngine-gift for wena.
Yeah.
Ngizwa bathi legama lethu has stuck.
Yeah.
Which one?
Ungakamniki le gift. Uthe ubunobani e-stadium izo.
Bengino original.
Ubani?
Original athi.
Original.
Ngikuwelcome. So I was with Mama Joy, and she said, "You are now officially a member of Royal AM."
No way.
And yeah,
Now she doesn't have to worry about taking flights to France or
there we
anything.
go.
We're already here.
You are right.
Baba is here.
Man, what do you do with this?
You have to wear this.
Man, you're on the show.
Yes.
You have to wear this.
Please don't change.
Unjamane warned you. He told you, and my word is the law. Uzoyiqoka mshana.
Umsebenzi yakho.
Khomba umalume. Hlonipho ilahleka endrilo.
Okay.
Dan,
Are you sure?
please go. Hamba.
Okay.
We're waiting for you. Welcome to the Betway Premiership preview show, where we serve you the beautiful game with a spicy side of betting. Now, our resident bettor is all set to cook up a Betway slip based on upcoming Betway Premiership matches. His decision, of course, are informed and shaped by our expert panel of pundits. It's going to be loud, it's going to be lively, and by the end of it, we will lock in a slip that could let you live absolutely large. So let's get into our panel. The first of the three Malumes is none other than Sky, the self-proclaimed bold and brave one. He does, after all, support Kaizer Chiefs, which is why he is in the black and gold today. But will his bets be bountiful this week? That is the big question. Next up, we have BBK, the man who has been speaking football since the days when goalkeepers were allowed to handle a back pass.
Yeah.
Of course. And our final panelist wore the #1 jersey for Bafana Bafana, Orlando Pirates, and the Johannesburg Secondary First Team. So you know whose safe hands we are in. It's none other than Brighton Mhlongo.
No, but you need to make it right.
Yeah.
It's bright on.
Oh, bright on.
Yes. And nakhona ke, what's this?
Yeah.
Mpho?
So here's the thing, ne? So I've brought this because I'm sure you can see this bowl of apples that we have here. It has lots of red apples. Because last week Sky was lahla. Sky actually, you know, made sure that we have plenty red apple. So this guy is here to guard our bets and make sure that everything goes well. Everything goes according.
Malume ngabone ngathi nabo scotch pattern ngathi abakho labo angisazi. And it's the old guard
I made this.
Now, we started very well. We have a double chance on an Orlando Pirates win or a draw and over 1.5 goals in the game. Correct on both counts.
Yeah, so that was the bet slip of the first episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I have the bet slip in front of me.
Yeah.
So and I want to be accountable. So as you go through these results, because are you doing like a Sky card,
Yes,
a
of course.
score?
We're doing a review.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they must put the slip on so we can see good to know.
Yeah.
The Pirates, that's right. What's the next one? Then it was Galaxy.
Then we had Gallant 1, Galaxy 1.
Yeah.
We went with the safe bet of over 0.5 goals in this particular game. So that's That's 2 out of 2.
2 out of 2 flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you see, Uguti, now we're going into the red
apple.
Because it was downhill from there.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is, and I'm gonna go through these ones. Yabo into yenzeka eMlazi, into yenzeka eMaritzburg, and what happened in Polokwane. It will never happen again. It will never happen again because, I mean, you can just see 1 red apple, 2 red apple. 8, 3, 8. I don't even have enough.
Gents, you weighed in on this as well.
Sure.
So, are you happy with what we said to South Africa? Or do you also need to apologize?
Look, I think first and foremost, let's look at it this way. You know, when you lose or you get the red apples from people that you didn't expect, it's okay.
Yeah.
You feel like, you know, you can take it, you know, especially what happened with Sundowns. It's one of those where it's a once-off thing. And then we know moving forward, it's not going to happen again. But Royal AM, Ubaba Joy, spring a surprise like this, I never expected it.
I love it.
I never expected it that one.
Mlombo said, Polokwane City versus?
Yeah.
Sundowns.
Richards Bay. Ngathi Polokwane izobuya naso. Because limnandi orange and namanzi are sweet. And the thing is, lightning is not going to strike twice.
The final score is 3 out of 8.
When you pass on my trick up,
Pass on 30%.
No, 33.
30%. You just made it. You just made it.
So 3 out of 8. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
No, we're back and we're gonna cook.
We're going to cook.
We're gonna this bowl of apples is gonna next week it's gonna be all green.
See, this is what I love, right?
Yes.
Because the good thing about this week's fixtures is that they give you a marginally easier job. We only have 3 Betway Premiership matches, and the first of those kicks off in just under 2 hours. Check it out.
For the last 7 seasons, Pirates and everybody else have been dancing to his Guinea Sandawana. And in 2 of those seasons, Rivero's Spanish guitar has fallen flat in the league. This time around, izinto shintshile baba, indoda emnyama iqhwakele, and the hunters have become the hunted. In the last 10 years, Pirates have come second 4 times in the league with more silver than Umchita waseThekwini. Now, bafuna igolide ukuze bahleke ngezindleko. And they mean business. Buzi Chipa United, Polokwane City, Richards Bay, SuperSport United Namazulu, CS Galaxy, Basbonke, Bahlangane nePirates, Wakala Isbaqu. The perennial runners-up are now leading the race after winning their first 6 matches, going longer without a loss than anyone.
With more attention in every fixture, in every 3 points that we are about to play. So that's the aim, that's the objective.
But with the target now on their back, can they keep going? The Natal Rich Boys will look to change that. The last time Base Orlando, bafaka intuku, zehle iqhomo. Umshini wabo has been smooth by oil money. And you know where pirates don't sail? Where the waters have been muddied by oil.
The sensational Sea Robbers are sailing in calm seas. Sky, Pirates are 1 game away from a record-breaking start to the season.
Yeah, so this one, you know, the problem with this one is that, you know what, history is there to be made. But also, I have a feeling we're going to know, guys, this is too good to be true. The Sea Robbers ship is just smooth and it's sailing. And the other reason I say that, it's because of Richards Bay. Richards Bay have beaten the Pirates there, and it last year. Coach Brendan Trotter. He's always mastering something there. So I want to say straight in for Pirates because of the history that beckons. But after last week, Red Apples is not a big show, right, Sid?
Look, rightfully so. You can be worried when it comes to, you know, Pirates getting goals. But let me make mention, Uguti, the last time Orlando Pirates started this way, in a league. It was 2002, 2003 season. And we know what happened after that. We won the league. But bring it back home here. Last season, at Richards Bay, they went to Orlando Pirates, right? And needing a point or anything, actually, so that they can narrowly escape a relegation. And Uvila, he resorted to defensive strategies, whereby he didn't worry much about what's happening. Brendan Truter, he's a master when it comes to that. We saw with Swallows. That's what he does. He knows how to carve out results. We saw how he's very resolute, to a point that the 4-4-2 formation that they were playing last season, he came back and changed it now to a 3-5-2, meaning that now he overloads the middle of the park as well. That's why you see they only have one goal this season out of all the games. So the worrying factor would be that where do they get the goals? Because Kono Nzundo, who are now being staffed, you know, the supply. So for me, that's a concern. And you're playing against a team that only conceded 2 goals, Orlando Pirates. So you can see already.
So they've conceded 2 goals. BBK, is that because of how well they attack that they starved the other teams of the ball, or is it because of a really good defense, which hasn't been tested? I don't think so.
You know, I think you're missing a point.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Pirates defense because, especially when you look at the center pairing, the center pairing has been a problem for them in terms of injuries. You start with a Nda partnering with a Sisane. Nda gets injured. Prior to that, you had a Kloki as well as CBC combination. Both Kloki and Nda are injured. So you're thinking that, oh, it's a crisis. Going to a final, that was the main concern for them. But Sisane and CBC seem to be gelling very well. So it says to you that there is no crisis if there's not this one player, which speaks to the depth, because some people have been talking about, do Pirates actually have the depth to actually take the fight all the way to Sundowns and push them to the final thing? So that is something that needs to be commended on their part, that, like Brighton says, in spite of those injuries and that new partnership, they still have considered less.
So have they helped you, or have they made this even more difficult?
No, you know, when BBK has now said the defense hasn't been tested, they only considered 2 goals. I just, no,
test them now.
No, I was... No.
What advice are we giving Sky for this particular bet? Is he going with an out-and-out victory or maybe a double chance?
Sky, I'm giving you that dangerous focus position.
Are you on your knees?
Are you on my knees? And I'm saying to you, it's a good win. It's a good win.
Okay.
Malome?
Pagania, okay. Lock in your bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock it in. I'm looking at the bet here now, and I have you want PTSD? Yeah, it's Sundowns. It's not Polokwane. But Escotini, Pirates. History is there to be made. History will be made. Pirates for the win. Nazo.
Done. Well, he says, locked and loaded, Orlando Pirates for the win. Remember, if you can't make it to the Orlando Stadium before the match kicks off at 7:30, you don't need to stress. You can, of course, catch this and every other Betway Premiership game on PSL Showmax, starting from as little as 69 Rand a month. More Betway Premiership action and more of the best football insight right here after this. Welcome back to the preview show, where we build a bet slip based on what's next on the Betway Premiership. Just remember, if you are going to bet, please do it responsibly, just like in our in-house better with Sky Tshabalala does it. He does it responsibly, but also you had a word of advice that you wanted to pass on for the bettors at home.
Yeah, so you know what's the thing in terms of, especially this week on the Betway Premiership, there's only about 3 games because there's cups and then there's international break. But the rest of the world, there's still football. So you take this knowledge that we give you and you populate the rest of your bet slip with all the other leagues. Like Manchester, coach, so do that and then mix and match, and before you know it, Malume upetroli isinko ekhaya
bisi
imali yesikole ungayidli yonke ngoDisemba.
Impahla zeChristmas zona
Speaking of nice life things, whether you prefer a sherry over a Shiraz, no one can dispute that the best wine in the world comes from the Cape Winelands, also home to one of our best footballing teams.
The art of fine wine is as much a discipline as it is an act of creation. What is needed is an adherence to procedure and a strong reliance on Mother Nature. First, we begin with the soil. What is needed is a fine, rich loam. Something with character, soul. We need, of course, the fruit. Sweet, lush. Miracles of evolution, selected for their potential, chosen for their hardness too. After all, there is no reward without struggle.
Oh, what a beautiful 1-2 and an excellent goal.
The cultivar is prepared, planted and pruned by the master winemaker. What delicate surprises, what bold profile stands on our tongues. Is their imagination made real? The true viticulture is a blend of mathematics and magic, science and art. All great art needs a great patron. Ladies and gentlemen, our financier. Great wine cannot exist in a vacuum. To continue its path to perfection, it must have its champions. Fine men and women who celebrate its virtue, who sing its praises.
Stellenbosch colours.
Lastly, the art of fine wine must have sterling competition. After all, there can be no ride to the stars without negotiating the forces of gravity.
Now, Sky, in our first episode,
Yes.
BBK said, Stellies, you're like
You like it, eh?
They became one of the red apples.
Yes.
How are you feeling going into this week's encounter?
So I'm glad you bring that up because, gents, I think, and I'm going to say this, I'm good friends with Steve.
So you can say whatever.
No, I can say this.
Oh, okay.
I think we give them too much credit.
How?
I think we give them too much credit. They become a red apple against Richards Bay. Obviously, playing in Durban, it was their home. And then, yes, they beat Timarumo. Equally, back post, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't nice. And usually you look at Stellies because of their cup runs and all that kind of stuff, which is straight to win. But I'm not sure this. I'm not saying that they're going to lose, but I'm saying it's not as straightforward, which is Stellies straight to win.
I'm glad you're saying that. I'm glad you're saying that because you look at different factors here when you look at the Stellenbosch. One, the good factor about them is that they don't lose games. Yes, they've lost a whole lot of players, a host of players who went to different teams, who were key figures within that squad. You look at your Ikram Reyners, who was very, very influential in scoring goals for them, you know? And now they've came in with a different midfield pairing. You know, we saw Obutaka, who comes from Cape Town Spurs now, taking up the center middle of the park, you know? And when you look at those players, you saw Ubans, who's from the Rich Boys, you know? He's one player also who came in trying to settle into that team. So they're still trying to find, you know, that rhythm, that team cohesion. However, one thing I can assure you, Red Apple get draw. They're not going to lose the game. Yes. Because that's a solid team with a good structure when they're playing defensively and offensively as well.
So I like that one. You could see double chance here would be Stellies draw. But TS Galaxy, Malum, I chance I think the best thing about them at the moment Usuga is in the stands.
No, coach. But they are holding everyone. They've got 15 teams, you know, that they are holding at the base. And the thing about them is that they have been like Stellies. You speak about them losing players and all of that. I mean, Ubtele is left to Pirates. Unduari has gone to Chiefs. So Kevin Msimango is at Kaizer Chiefs as well. And I don't see them having replaced those players with players at the same level. In much as he has been able, Ushit, to do this thing that he did in the last 2 seasons. He actually went to play in the final as well against the very same Stellies. But right now, he's struggling simply because they have not been able to plug the gap. So that, for me, is a big problem for them. And I think that this is a season where he really has to prove himself when he's been trying to put himself at the level of Urulani, as we saw last season. The ball is in his court.
So what are you going with? Double chance?
Yeah, double chance here. Stellies draw. And the draw part is because of the result against the Richards Bay and obviously that 1-0 win, which wasn't convincing against Emarumo Gallen. So double chance, Stellies draw. There it is, locked in.
Okay, it is locked in. We did, of course, start the show in Orlando with the table-topping Orlando Pirates. Well done. Brighton. Now we're ending in Pretoria with second place. Mamelodi. When last did you hear that? But anyway, the Brazilians were bruised by Rise and Shine in Polokwane last week, a result that rocked many a Betway slip, including our very own.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Hold the presses. The Betway Premiership has seen its biggest upset yet. Rise and Shine produced a display for the ages as Mamelodi Sundowns were left choking on a large Limpopo orange. But was it really an upset? Evidence would suggest otherwise. Brazilians have failed to find the back of the net over the last 5 hours of football against Polokwane. In fact, the only goal Sundowns celebrated in their last 3 meetings was a Tabang Matuludi own goal. Sundowns halved and halved against Polokwane at Loftus last year, seeking for a stalemate. This time around, a mean Mamelodi machine was on its way to Polokwane amidst a run of form. They had annihilated Arrows and mowed down Marumo. But in Putin Mohafe, Mangoba Ngwisi came up against his student, Mr. Miyagi versus Daniel LaRusso, Daniel's son versus Miyagi's side. Wax on, wax off. Hi, boy! Did the student not wax the floor with his teacher? Sensei ma sensei, rising and shining to give City an impressive win.
We are quite content that the team we have is good enough to achieve our targets.
Either way, Polokwane City make their way back to the country's capital, a place where they haven't lost in regulation play in the last 2 meetings. This time around, they will face the Brazilians who are baying for blood. Miss Wile, baying for blood. Bafunikas, I'm a vampire. Babanimkala. Oh, my love bite.
So, Sky, the big question this week is, same encounter.
Yeah.
Have you learned your lesson or?
Yeah, so the answer is twofold. Yeah? I have learned my lesson, but also I trust my instinct.
Okay.
There is no way Ugutu Kismuzungaba twice in 1 year. There's no way Polokwane City is going to complete a double. You guys have all the records, but I cannot. Number one, the last team to complete a double against Sundowns in the league. Number two, has Polokwane ever beaten them twice? I saw the stats. I know they've met, obviously, what is going to be their 3rd meeting. They met in the Cup. Sundowns haven't scored any goals of their own against them. But at Loftus...
Did you see Mr. Miyagi?
I saw Mr. Miyagi.
At the Sensei, Shinsha?
Yeah.
Sensei Shan, Mr. Unje. Listen.
Yeah.
That alone should be a worrying factor because you're looking at a Sundowns that plays against a very dominant, resolute defense. Polokwane City.
Yeah.
You look at the performance of Sundowns when they're trying to break down in Polokwane and they're struggling. To a point that the previous game, they only registered 4 shots and all of them, they went wide.
Yeah.
None of them went on target. Yes, they dominated possession, but with no result. So, Mr. Miyagi would say,
doesn't win games.
Mr. Miyagi would say, keep the ball, I'll take the 3 points and go home, thank you.
Yeah, but I almost fall short of saying, BBK Guti, there is no way in hell they are going to lose this game to the same opponents.
You said that last time.
You see, the problem is one, I don't want to go sing a netlatin Landela when I'm shot. You raise Mr. Miyagi. Mangoba is the Mr. Miyagi to the Polokwane City coach, because he looks up to him. So Michael Danielson works on, works off. But Umatulud, that right back of Polokwane City, what he does with his feet, both left and right, if you saw the other game, he had 2 shots on the space of each other, and that is the threat that Mangoba has got to fight. But Sundowns are going to come back with all guns blazing, firings from all cylinders. They are going to nail it.
Everything but the kitchen sink will be thrown in here as per our punters. What do you say? Are you what bet are you locking in?
I'm listening to that now, but then...
And you're changing your mind?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to lock it in. So the bets, I'm going to lock it in. Because I think at Loftus, Sundowns scores goals. I think there'll be more shots on targets. I think there'll be a stronger team. Uguti, yes, we can't assess, but I think there'll be a stronger team. So I'm going to say double chance, Sundowns draw and over 1.5 goals.
You know what may help you?
Yes.
Ribeiro Ushalulile coach of the mark as well. So that
And
could
of course,
actually help.
Emuva Futhi, Ballon d'Or nominee is back, and he missed out on the first encounter. So, Ronwen.
Okay. So, bet slip number 2 is done and dusted. I need to remind you, Betway does promote responsible gambling, so always remember that winners know when to stop. But before we recap our slip, let's take a look at the upcoming fixtures of the midweek. Of course, we have the big one that's about to happen. Orlando Pirates up against Richards Bay. You can, of course, catch that action right here on SuperSport PSL. We also have tomorrow Stellies up against TS Galaxy, while Mamelodi Sundowns and Polokwane City out at Loftus. This time, it is round 2. Now, if you like what you've seen on the show tonight and fancy a piece of the action, you can get access to this bet slip from tonight's show simply by pointing your phone at the screen and capturing the specially designed Betway Premiership QR code. All you have to do is load up your Betway account and you're good to go. Gentlemen, thank you very much for gracing me with your presence once more. I have to ask. We only have 3 fixtures. Let me start with you, BWK.
I'm going to the capital.
You're going to the capital?
To sit with Steve Kompele when I make the place dark.
Midnight Express! Done.
I need to make sure that I quickly rush to Escotini, and I'm gonna need Ulisilo. I need Ulisilo for Lucky Charm because it's gonna be tough. Against the rich boys. So, Lisilo. Lisilo.
Sky, where are you going?
No, so I'm going to obviously keep an eye on the Pirates game. I think they will make history. I need them to make history to turn the bet slip green.
I feel like you're so uncertain.
PTSD.
Let's allow
I'll definitely keep an eye on that game. I think Sundowns will take care of Polokwane City. It's telling long jib. But I still think we're giving them too much credit.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're better, you watch everything.
Done. So at 7:30, we have a kickoff. Orlando Pirates, Escotini, Skama BBK, do we have time to get to Orlando Stadium? Me, I'm already in ready. I'm ready.
Siam.
Asambe love it. Thank you very much for being with us on the Betway Premiership Preview Show. City is Sekazini.